In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Number one, I'm not an expert. It is very hard to parent kids, and it's very hard to do the right thing all the time. So don't be hard on yourselves, because it's impossible to be perfect. This is a topic that actually is not discussed much, how to have the kids deal with each other or love each other or grow up in like there's always books about disciplining kids or how to have the good perfect kids and how to have kids that obey you or that how to lead them the right way and stuff like that, but there's nothing really about how to deal with the kids, how the kids can deal with each other or how to teach them that. So this presentation is from a book that I purchased that's called Siblings Without Rivalry. But it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I even have a video of the kids when they were young about what we tend to do to our kids without even noticing. So in order to understand why there is siblings rivalries and why kids fight all the time, the book uses a wonderful analogy. It's called the new wife analogy. And this is about the first child having the second child after your first child has been used to getting all the attention and all the love and everything. So it says in the book, imagine that your husband puts an arm around you and says, "Honey, I love you so much and you're so wonderful that I've decided to have another wife just like you." What would your reaction be? And then when the new wife finally arrives, you see that she's very young and kind of cute. And when the three of you are out together, people say hello to you politely, but then they exclaim, "Precious," to the baby, to the other wife. Then they turn to you and ask, "How do you like the new wife? How do you feel?" And then the new wife needs clothing. So your husband goes into the closet, takes some of your sweaters and pants and gives them to her without even asking you. And when you protest, he points out that since you've put on a little weight, your clothes are too tight on you and they'll fit her perfectly. Can you imagine? And then one afternoon, the new wife takes the computer that your husband bought you. When you tell her she can't use it, she runs crying to your husband. Moments later, she returns with him. Her face is tear-stained, and he has his arm around her. He says to you, "What would be the harm in letting her have a turn? Why can't you share?" I can go on and on about different situations and examples that would make the first wife angry. Do you agree? Can you see your first child having these reactions? I have a little video that Monica showed me the other day. And Monica is my oldest. Most of you know Monica and Andrew and Vico. Poor Monica, she was 2.5 when Andrew and Vico came into this world, twins at the same time. All the attention that they got, and after being number one, she became like at the end. Let me show you this video. I hope I can play. There's no sound. Okay, so Monica is, it doesn't matter, there's no sound, I'm sorry. We were getting ready to go to church on New Year's Eve. I'll tell you the story. And Monica she has a whole chapter from the book of St. Luke memorized, and she's about to perform in the church. And she's only 4. She's not even 5 yet. And she's so excited about presenting, and I'm videotaping her, and she's saying her part while Andrew and Vico are just making noise and crying, and here I am videotaping Monica, and then I turn the video to to her siblings, and I totally forgot about Monica. And Monica is trying to get in the camera, and she keeps doing this and trying. So you don't need to hear it, but you can see her face. Poor thing. Can you see it, or is it too small? Look at her trying to get into the camera. And I am concentrating on Vico, and Andrew's doing something else. And look at Monica. She's still reciting her part. She's I thought that was so funny. So you can imagine if she's angry at her brother and sister after that, and I don't see the reason why she's angry, because I forgot what happened. I didn't pay much attention to what happened, but she saw it and she got upset, right? Moments later, I have a picture that I only understood now why this picture everyone is crying. It was Monica, Andrew, and Vico, the three of them crying next to each other in their outfits, New Year's outfit. So I wish you had the sound. So back to our analogy. It is upsetting when you hear one child rage against another, but if we forbid the expression of that rage, the danger is that it will go underground and reappear in other forms. It will reappear in fighting, in hitting, in hurting, in different things. Either in physical symptoms or emotional problems. So imagine if the husband, when the wife gets angry that he brought in another wife, if he responds to his wife's complaint by saying, I don't want that person in the house anymore, it's making me very unhappy, why can't we get rid of her? Kids say that sometimes. I don't think Monica ever said that, but I could tell that she was not happy with them. Imagine if you answer and say you're being ridiculous. You have no reason to feel this way. Or you make me very angry when you talk like that. Or if that's the way you feel, please keep it to yourself. I don't know how old are your kids, but if they fight a lot and they say mean things to each other, sometimes we tell them that. Or keep it to yourself because I don't want to hear it. Or look, don't put me in a position where I have to do the impossible. You know very well that I can't get rid of her. We are family now. Or why must you be so negative all the time? Find a way to get along and don't come running to me with every little thing. Is that what we tell our kids? And here's the big one. I didn't marry again for myself. I know you're lonely sometimes and I thought you'd like some companionship. Come on, honey, cut it out. What do my feelings for you have to do with anyone else? There's enough love in my heart for both of us, for both of you. So is it surprising when we look at that analogy that the kids sometimes want to harm each other, even if it means that they will get punished by the parents, even if it means that by doing this they're going to hurt the parents themselves? So what's the answer? What's the answer? I think the wife would be happy if what? I mean, okay, of course we don't live in this world where a husband will bring a wife, thank God. That's not going to happen. But just imagine, put yourself in that situation. What would the wife want her husband to say if he can't get rid of that new wife? Any ideas? Okay. Do you think that she'd want the freedom to say all kinds of nasty things about the new wife and for him to accept hearing it? Whether true or not? Do you think she'd want him to defend the new wife? Or put the old wife down? Or get angry with her because of how she feels? Or look at his watch because he's busy and he needs to go? Or turn on the TV and ignore what she's saying? The main thing that they need is to see that you understand how they felt. That's it. Just listen to them. Even as grown-up who are just pretending with this analogy, we can see how comforting it is to have someone who will listen to our negative feelings. And children are not different. They need to air their feelings and their wishes about their siblings, even the bad ones. So don't shut them down. Don't tell them not to talk, not to say. Just listen to them, validate their feelings, and understand their point of view. Because a few months ago, they were the center of the attention. And even later, like as the years go by, they want your undivided attention. They want your undivided love. When this, and they want everything, they don't want to share, they don't want to, you can teach them all these things when you validate their feelings, when you talk to them, when you understand. And I know sometimes it's hard, we don't have time, we don't have patience, but at least don't shut them away all the time and send them to their room and tell them that they're wrong and they shouldn't feel that way, or make them feel guilty for feeling that way, because it's natural. So here's a comic strip from the book about the different ways that we can answer. So the first, instead of saying, your child is coming to you, Ma, Bobby said I sound like a moron. Oh, just ignore him. Do we say that? Just ignore him? Instead, you can say a comment like that could make you mad. It did. So now he understood that you understand that he's mad. And you're okay with him being mad because that's something that would make him mad. You didn't do anything, you just acknowledged his feeling. If you practice that enough, it's not that hard, even with your wives and husbands. Acknowledge their feelings, validate their feelings instead of ignoring them or not giving them the right to feel anything. Because honestly, we have the right to feel anything. We don't have the right to act on our feelings, but we have the right to feel anything. And when we express those feelings, it's good that the people around us show us that they've heard it and they understand them. The second one, instead of he does it on purpose, he only burps when I'm around. And then you say, big deal, right? Instead of that, you feel he does it just to irritate you, and then he says, exactly. So now he understood that I hate it because he's doing it on purpose and he's trying to irritate me. Instead of saying, big deal, just ignore him. He didn't mean it. He's just being a boy. Or whatever. By the way, I teach 11th and 12th grade, high school. So their attention span is very short, so I'm used to short lessons. I can't talk for too long because I know when I do, no one will listen. So if I'm going fast, that's the reason. I'm just used to this. Another example, I can see the first one, so we'll go to the next one. Instead of, he always decides to drum when I'm trying to do my homework. And then I say, take it easy, just close your door. Instead of doing that, you can say, that can be annoying. You wish he'd check with you before he starts to play. So you understand, again, his point of view. So number one, the most important thing, allow them to express their feelings. Show them that you understand their feelings and validate it. Simply by repeating what they said in a nicer way to show them that you understood. Another problem that causes rivalry between kids is comparisons. Because what do parents always do? What do? We compare. Lisa has such beautiful table manners. You'd never catch her eating with her fingers. What does that mean? You're eating with your fingers. How could you leave your project until the last minute? Your brother always finishes everything on time. Why don't you keep yourself the way that your sister does? So you're always comparing, and when you do that, it makes them very angry. Because some children make the decision to excel at being bad if they can't excel at being good. If I can't be best at being best, I'll be best at being worst. And that's a decision that they make with unconsciously. Comparison can only bring unhappiness. So whenever you tell your child something, say it directly without any reference to his or her siblings or cousins or أي حد خالص يعني. Just describe what you see. This is the key word. Describe. Describe that you see clothes on the floor and that the clothes need to be picked up. Describe that this grade needs to be better next time. Describe that he should work a little bit harder or spend more time or manage his time without mentioning anybody else. There's no reason to mention another person, whether a sibling or a cousin or a friend or anyone. Also, a favorable comparison can be harmful. Because children often experience praise of a sibling as a put down of themselves. Even if you don't even mention anything to the child and you're talking to his brother or sister, when you praise them, it makes them think that that means I'm bad. They automatically translate your brother is so, like when you tell one of the siblings that they're so considerate, I must not be considerate. Also, the passion and excitement that you feel about a child's achievement should be saved for a moment when just the two of you are together. So if one of them does something wonderful, and it's okay to praise them by saying you must be proud of yourself, you did something amazing. But it's not okay to say, I can't wait to call grandpa and grandma and tell them. I'm going to call Abuna and tell them what you did. Your Sunday school teacher will be very proud of you. All of this stuff, all this praise can make the other child jealous. So do say all that stuff, but when you're only with that one child alone. Does that make sense? Report cards. For me, this was a problem because Andrew and Vico were twins, and they came with the report cards. And Vico's report card was a lot better than Andrew all the time. So I couldn't help not to compare. And I could see that this affects Andrew, but I didn't know. But it does affect them. So a good thing that they're saying here, I wish I knew, there's no report card context going on here. They are records of your work and behavior over the last 6 weeks. Good luck, parents, saying that because it's hard, but you just need to catch yourself and stop yourself from making one feel bad because the report card is worse than the other. If they're both bad, you're good. If they're both good, you're good. But when one is better than the other one will feel a lot worse than he should. You can say, I want to sit down with you individually so I can see what your teacher has to say and how you feel about your progress. How you feel about your progress. So we talked about feelings. We talked about comparisons. Now the next point is equal is less. I know we always try to be 100% equal with our kids. If I spend 10 minutes with you, I want to spend 10 minutes with you. Again, I remember with the twins, if I hug one, I feel like I have to hug the other one. Sometimes I wouldn't hug either of them because I want to be fair. And that's not right. I know someone who could not, actually I don't know that person personally, but they talked about her in the book. She could not nurse her first child because of medical problems. When the second child came, she decided not to nurse the second baby just to be fair and equal among her kids. And that's not right. Instead of trying to love them equally, we need to love them uniquely. It's exactly like a wife asking her husband, do you love your mother more or me? Can he answer this question? It's not the same. I love my mother as my mother. I love you as my wife. I chose you, but I love my mother. So it's two different things. Same with kids. Kids should be loved uniquely, not equally. Because to love equally is somehow to be loved less. Because someone may need more of your time than the other. So when the kids ask you that, who do you love best? You can say, each of you is special to me. You are my only you. In the whole wide world, there's not another one like you. No one has your thoughts, your feelings, your smile. I'm glad you're my daughter, or I'm glad you're my son. And you can put their name instead of just saying daughter and son. You're my only Emily. You're my only whatever. Instead of saying, after I spend 10 minutes with your sister, I'll spend 10 minutes with you, say, I know I'm spending a lot of time going over your sister's composition because it's important for her. As soon as I'm finished, I want to hear what's important to you, which means I may spend 10 minutes, I may spend 5 minutes, I may spend an hour. It depends on your needs. Okay? So to love equally is to love less, but to love uniquely is to love more. Okay, so review. Number 1, allow them to express their feelings and validate them. Number 2, do not compare. Number 3, love uniquely, not equally. Okay, this is the next one is my biggest problem and my biggest mistake that I did with my kids. Casting siblings in roles. We always like to define our kids. This is my timid one. This is my my go-getter. This is my genius. This is the animal lover. This, you just love to put. Either you do it because you want to bolster a child's ego at the expense of another. Of course, you don't mean to do that, but you do that. Or sometimes you bolster your own ego because if you grew up timid and you have a child who's gusty, you're very gutsy, you're very proud of that character in that child, and you keep saying it to everyone. And also, sometimes we project our own weakness on our kids. If I'm a procrastinator and I see that my son is a procrastinator, I'll always say, he's the procrastinator of the family. So I'm projecting my own weakness. And sometimes we enjoy the idea that we have our kids figured out and we want to let the world know, I know this child, he's mine, he does this and that, and this one doesn't that. So we put them in roles to make them feel special sometimes. But it's not good for them because it puts them in that role, and it makes the other child feel like this is not my category. I cannot be that one. I cannot be the musician of the family because this person is. He is the musician. I'm gonna have to find something else, and that's not right. And also the kids put themselves in roles, and this happens also with the order of the children in the family. There's the good boy who just enjoys the love and approval of everyone, so he puts himself in that role and he's always a good boy or a good girl. Or the bad boy who's an attention seeker. He wants attention even if it's negative attention, but that's the role that he made for himself in the family. Or the clown who can get away with murder. So the kids sometimes put themselves in this role. So what do you do when a sibling has a special talent? You should recognize those talents, but not, and you should encourage them, but not at the expense of the other siblings. So when one of them excels at piano, for instance, and you see that the other one is shutting down and does not even want to try piano, you should not encourage that. You should encourage him or her to still do the piano, and it may not be you may not be excellent at it, but it's still something that you want to learn and you can enjoy without having to be the best at it. And encourage that instead of shutting him down from that category altogether because his sibling excelled in it. So when one child has special competence, let's be on guard about excluding the others from that area. And let's make sure that they don't choose to exclude themselves. So we want to make sure that the joys of dance, drama, poetry, sport is for everyone and not reserved for those with a special talent. You don't have to be perfect to try a certain sport. You don't have to be the number one player because everyone has a role in the team. So as parents, we have the power to influence our kids' traits. Let's use our power wisely and not place our children in roles that will defeat them. So you've done all that, but the kids are always fighting. This is something, it's a fact of life, and it will happen all the time. And the usual advice is stay out of it and let them work it out themselves. However, there are levels of fighting. You can offer suggestions like take turns, play with things together, talk it over, and you'll know how to figure it out. بس في levels. There's the normal bickering, which you can just ignore and let them figure it out. That's not a problem, because if you get into every little bickering that happens, you're just going to be a referee all your life. We used to live in College Station and drive an hour and 15 minutes to get to church every week. The first 15 minutes of that ride was always fighting and bickering, and we just learned to just turn on something and forget it until they figure it out. But sometimes there's level 2 where the situation is heating up and there is a need for the parents to intervene. So in that situation, we need to acknowledge their anger. You can just state what's going on, reflect each child's point of view. Like, you're angry because he's not sharing. You wish that he would give you a turn. You're angry because you feel like this is your toy and you really want to enjoy it. So you're reflecting on both points of view. Describe the problem with respect. So the problem here is that we need to learn to share. Express confidence in the ability that they can find their solution. You can offer a little bit of advice, but then leave the room and let them figure it out. But you showed that you understood how they feel. And then if they start hitting each other and the situation is possibly dangerous, you can describe what you see. I see 2 very angry children who are about to hurt each other. Separate the children. It's not safe for you guys to be together. You must have a cooling off period. Quick, you to your room and you to your room. So that's when you express your authority, but you're still not taking sides and you're not doing anything. So how to encourage sharing without forcing it? I've seen both sides of parents. I've seen parents who buy 2 of the exact same thing so that their kids don't fight. And I've seen parents who only buy 1 of everything so that the kids will share. I'm a proponent of the second one. So I only bought 1 of everything. But they each were the owners of 1 thing. And they learned to share and take turns. Yes, they fought, yes, but I always felt it was silly to buy. And they understood that instead of having just 1 toy, the 3 of you having it, why don't we have 3 toys and you have 3 toys to play with instead of... It makes more sense. I don't understand why have 1 of the same thing to each. I don't get it till now. Because they learn not to share, they learn not to play with each other. It does prevent a lot of fighting, immediate fighting, but there's a lot to learn by sharing. So these are the advantages of sharing. You have 2 toys instead of 1 toy. But then, instead of forcing it, encouraging it, allowing time for inner processing. Lucy will let you know when she's ready to share. So you're giving them some power. Showing appreciation for sharing when it happens. So when they're sharing, when they're taking turns, you always encourage that and praise that. And by modeling sharing yourself. طبعا these are not very easy to do. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of practice and a lot of prayers. But it can be done. And in the end, it all works out. So the conclusion is let them express their feelings and show them that they are heard and understood by validating their feelings. Do not compare. Love uniquely, not equally. Do not label your kids. Know when to interfere when they're fighting and encourage sharing. If you do all that, I think the kids will be all right. Questions? لا, no questions. What's your question?
With that validation one, like I get it, but then it feels weird to leave it there. Like, do you really just leave it there, like saying like that would make that sounds like it made you angry, and then that's it?
You have to be sincere. يعني always in the back of your mind think of the new wife analogy. يعني see it from their point of view, and that's when if you just say, oh, that must make you angry, and you don't see it, they don't see that you really understood that. I think it makes a big difference when they see that you understood them versus you're being silly. Imagine both answers. Which would make more sense? Uh, just that's what the book says. I'm not saying I did that, guys. I did not. I sent them to the room. I got angry. I got mad. I did all the wrong things. But the book says to do that, and it kind of makes sense. Because the moment you say that and you show them that you understand their feelings, it kind of, it takes away the anger. Because I know the other one would make it worse. Like, don't be silly. Go to your room. What's the big deal? All of this would make them angry. Any more questions?
Does this apply to toddlers who have zero, rhyme or reason for anything?
Uh,
I can't say I understand your feelings because it's ridiculous.
Actually, I feel so sorry for the first child who's had all the attentions forever. I remember just walking in the mall with Monica or going to church and with Monica and the twins. No one would even look at Monica. Everyone would look at the twins and how cute they are. And they would ask, what are their names? And I always said, oh, this is Monica and this is Andrew and Victoria. And they would all goo goo gaga over the twins and like, oh, hi, Monica. And I could see the pain in Monica's face. Thank God she loves them. She turned out okay. But yeah, I mean, especially with toddlers, just he probably doesn't understand much. So try to. I used to ask Monica, do you want me to send them back? I'm tired of them. And she'd say, no, 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 keep them. And I kept gifts for her. So whenever people came, from the dollar store, I didn't spend a lot of money. But anytime anybody brings a gift for the twins, I would bring out a gift. And I would say that they brought the gifts for her. For the first month, like every day, she would wake up with something under her pillow from Andrew and Victoria. So that, I think it made a difference. She wanted to keep them for that reason. But yeah, give her as much attention. Put him to bed like an hour early and give her that time only alone. That makes a huge difference. So yeah, poor thing. It's not easy. It's not easy seeing you carrying him all the time. So even if it's ridiculous, just you must be angry, you must be upset. That would upset me too. Any more questions?
We heard someone say, like a psychologist, say that you don't praise them for being smart, you praise them for like their efforts. Like you really want to encourage the effort. So like sports or their education or whatever it is.
You must be proud of your achievement. You must be smart. Yeah. um, Personally, absolutely. Yes. And how hard is it to get used to changing your language instead of I'm so proud of you, I'm so proud of what you did. And I've read it so many times, but it's very hard to change our language. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of like thinking before you talk, which we don't do much. It's not easy parenting. But thank God, at the end, everything turns out okay, and God completes. I heard Abu Dawood Lamai one time saying, I don't know how much Arabic you guys know, but he would say, just pray na Rabbina يلم ورانا. Like to fix up what we mess up, because we mess up a lot. Do you want to watch the video? Okay, what do I do? Maybe I can get it from my files على طول instead of the presentation, or no, not yet.
kings to keep watch for the floods at night. The glory of the Lord shall and they were terrified. Said, do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that and it is Christ the Lord. Luke 2:7.